All right, so last time we read, we're talking to Pamela. He finally said, yes, I will let you talk to me, Pamela McHale's mother. I didn't know until 2 days before our wedding that Sam had already been married once before. I guess his ex was a pretty strong-willed woman and he couldn't take it, so he had the marriage annulled 6 weeks after their wedding. I found out later that he told Claire that his next wife would be someone younger, someone who would obey him. I guess that's why he married me. I was pretty submissive. I did whatever he told me to do. So we got married. Our wedding day was the happiest day of my life. I was so hopeful. Then on our honeymoon, Sam told me he wanted a baby right away. He didn't so much tell me he wanted one as he demanded one, as if my feelings on the matter were irrelevant. We'd never even discussed children before then. I told him that I didn't think I was old enough to have a baby, since I was just 18. Still felt like a kid myself. The truth is, I didn't even know if I wanted one. I didn't want anyone to have to live a life like mine. But Sam was older than me, and he said he didn't want to be an old man with his kids who were in high school. I knew in my heart that I wasn't ready, but Sam didn't care what I thought. He had this stupid line he'd heard somewhere. They're not your feelings, they're your failings. He just got meaner every time I refused. We started fighting about it almost all the time. I couldn't stand it. It was like we had become my parents. Then everything came to a climax. After months of fighting, Sam gave me an ultimatum. He said if I wouldn't have his baby, he'd find someone who would. He gave me until his birthday to make up my mind. As Pamela spoke, I realized that in spite of all the times I'd seen Mikhail's father, I really didn't know him. To me, he was a laid-back, easygoing guy who worked a lot and listened to vinyl records when he wasn't working, which was partially why Mikhail had always been with me. I wasn't sure that I believed everything that Pamela was saying, but it was clear to me that she did. Sam said that he would leave you, I asked. Pamela's eyes teared up. She nodded. More than once. I was devastated. I don't even think it was about the baby anymore. It was about controlling me. He was good at punishing me. At first he was passive-aggressive. He would go days without speaking to me. I was always more needy than him, so after a day I'd be begging him to talk to me, to love me. Then he began treating me like a child. One night he said he was going to spank me. I thought he was joking, but he wasn't. He spanked me until I cried. It was so humiliating. I felt like a child again. Pamela suddenly started crying, and I noticed that the diners at the other table were looking at us. I waited for Pamela to gain her composure. As we sat there, the counter bell rang. The woman at the counter said in a bright voice, "Your order's up." Pamela was dabbing her eyes with a paper napkin. "I'll get that," I said. I walked up to the counter, got our tray, and brought it back to the table. By the time I was seated, Pamela had settled some. "Do you want to eat or go on?" she asked. "Go on," I said. "No, why didn't you just leave him?" "Would you have left your wife?" she asked. "Mikhail wasn't abusive." She shook her head. "I don't know why. I didn't really think of him as abusive, at least not then. To me, abuse is when you had bruises and broken bones, not just a broken heart." She looked at me. "I don't know. I guess you just have to go through it to understand. When people are in abusive situations, they measure things in contrasts. As much as Sam hurt me, leaving him would be even more painful. Besides, part of me always felt that I deserved to be treated poorly. It's what I knew. I was always trying to earn somebody's love. The thing is, I knew he would win. I knew in the end, I would have to do what he said."